Hi, Stu from easyTRAP. Just going to run through with you today the setting up of the Codling Moth trap and the Guava moth trap. The Codling Moth trap comes in two versions: the full kit, which has the pheromone lure, the sticky insert or base, and the tent. And the refill kit has the pheromone and the insert. Same with the Guava, we have the full kit and the refill kit as well. The pheromone and the sticky base will typically be effective for 6 to 8 weeks. It does depend on the level of infestation and pests in the area. They do use a different pheromone, so depending on the fruit trees that you have in your garden and depending on the pest that you think is about, that you want to trap, will determine which one you use. A lot of gardeners use both. Timing wise, the codling moth is prevalent typically from early spring through to end of summer. So New Zealand, that's typically start of September through to the end of March. But depends a little bit obviously on the season. You're better to get it set up early than late, because you want to make sure that none of your fruit initially at all gets affected by having the pests in the area. So let's take a look at the codling moth trap. As I say, the components for codling and guava are the same except for the lure. So this is the tent. So the idea of the tent is that it protects the lure and the sticky insert from the weather. So you just pull that down there and you can see why we call it a tent. It sort of forms a tent shape there. So we have that there, pop that over there. This is the sticky insert or base. So I'll cut that off, pull that out there like that, and then we just pull that apart and you'll see the sticky glue that's there on the insert. So we pop that down. And next off, the lure. So the pheromone is on the lure that's inside this packet here. So you want to make sure you don't touch the lure with your bare hands. It's very sensitive, so you can use tweezers to handle it, or a pair of gloves. So I've got some gloves on here. Chop that out. Pull that like that. Get rid of those. So that's the lure. So it's a small rubber septum, and the pheromone is infused into the rubber. So it's odorless, you can't see it, but it is infused into the rubber lure. So you place that into the middle of your sticky base like that. Get rid of the gloves. Now you slide the whole lot into the base of the tent. Put it through into the middle there. It's sitting in the middle like that. And then the next thing we do is turn up both edges just to form a lip there, so it makes sure that in a bit of wind, a bit of weather, that your sticky insert is going to stay inside the trap and not get blown out. So just bend those over, poke those through the edges, keeps it nice there. So that's one side. Push that in, then we do the other side, bend it over like that, poke it through, like that. So there you have it, that's your tent with your pheromone lure and the sticky insert inside. That's fully set up and ready to go. Also in your pack you'll see some wire. And just use this to hang it from one of your fruit trees. Each trap is effective for trapping and monitoring an area of approximately 50 square metres. Typically 3 to 5 fruit trees. So often gardeners, obviously depending on the size of the garden that you have and the number of fruit trees, but it wouldn't be unusual to have 2 or 3 traps set up. You want to set them up about 1.5 metres off the ground and put them in an area of where there's some ventilation, not too much wind, but certainly where there is some ventilation. So there's 4 small holes here that have been worked into the trap. So you simply pop those through there, pop it through there, and you clip it through one, through the other, like that. Bend that up and then put a couple of lines on it, just so it won't come off. And then you do the same on the other side, so you pop those holes out there. You pop that one out on that side. Obviously this then, before you do that, or you don't have to, but typically you'd wrap that around a branch. Some gardeners would wrap it around twice just to keep it nice and secure. And then you pop this one through there. And through there. Same as the other side, fold it up, a couple of spins around like that. And you have your trap set up and working to attract the male, in this case codling moth. So before we finish off, I'll just show you this is the pheromone lure, the attractant lure for the guava moth. I won't touch it with my fingers, but just so you can all see what it looks like. It's a slightly different shape, but obviously the same thing. So odorless, and you can't see it, but the pheromone itself is fused into the rubber septum. So you would just lay that down like that onto your sticky insert and just go through the same setup for your trap. Thanks guys, too easy.